And now it says live. Okay. So I assume, whoa, moment here. Okay. Got to get the alarm off to let me know that it's time. Sorry about that. Uh, okay. I think this is working now. I hope this is working. Um, and I'm going to stall a little bit because I don't know how soon people are going to show up. I do know that if you have an Apple phone, an iPhone, you can actually set these up in advance. But from what I had read, since I have an Android, I don't really have the option to do that. And so I'm just going to basically have to hope that people receive the email or that they see this on Substack Notes and then they decide to join in. But my goal, I'm going to try to do these every Thursday. This is kind of my goal to do that. And oh, excuse me, by the way, I'm dealing with some drainage issues today, so I might be going an awful lot, and I hope that's not too distracting. Um, but what I want to do is I want to do these like every Thursday is what I'm thinking right now, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and and I want to try to keep them to about, we'll say, 10 to 15 minutes ideally, because I don't want to take up a whole lot of people's time. I just want to take a little bit of time to reflect on something and then to kind of allow people to move on with their day. Because I don't know about you, but if you get like a 2 hour video, that's really hard for me to spend time on. So I figured 10, 15 minutes would be pretty good. No, last time I tried to do that, it was 20 minutes. So first time was a time management fail, but we're hoping to do a little bit better today. Now, there will be a replay of this later, and hopefully you will be able to see that. I'm going to post that in my Substack as well. Um, Now, I am using some notes because I tend to be on the, shall we say, scattered side of life. And if I don't have notes to keep me focused, then I'm just going to go off into never land, never come back to my topic, and who knows where I'm going to end up. And I don't know how helpful that is. So, um, but if you are here, then feel free to comment in the chat. Feel free to say something. That said, I'll be honest. I'm using my phone right now, and I can't really see. I don't think what's going on. I don't know how this works very well, so I might not see it jump out. And if I do, and if I don't, I apologize. So, but what I wanted to do today is a while back I came across an article by Ryan Burgess, or Ryan Bird, and he's fantastic. If you are not following him and you're interested in data with regards to Christianity and the church and something, definitely follow him. Definitely subscribe to what he's doing because he's got some fantastic work there. And what he does is he compiles data that addresses questions, because it's easy for us to say, this is what's going on, and not really be right, because we're going according to our feelings, what we've experienced in our own life. But the question is not just, what has my experience been? The question is, what is the wider view of what's going on out there? And so this is where data comes in. I think it's really important. So I encourage you to follow him or subscribe to him and his work. But he said something in a recent article, and first of all, what he did in this article was he was trying to look at um, political affiliations in the church, or I should say, political and ideological affiliations in the church. And so the the question was, when it came down to political affiliations and ideological affiliations, we'll put that together, liberal and conservative. How did the clergy compare to the people in the pews? And what he discovered was basically that in the clergy tended to be significantly more left on average in mainline congregations than the parishioners were, or the congregants were. And and I guess this wasn't really a surprise in many respects. We've heard about this for many years, but this is where he came down with this at the end of the article. And this is a quote. He says, "Mainline clergy are decidedly left of center politically. Meanwhile, their membership is politically diverse and, by many estimates, ends up slightly right of center on matters of partisanship and ideology. This should prompt a whole lot of reflection among denominational leaders of the mainline denominations. But I'm not sure it will. Why are your seminaries and pulpits primarily attracting liberals? Would a Republican even feel comfortable attending classes and working toward ordination?" Okay, so that's the quote. Those are some really important questions, some serious questions right there. And I guess part of me thinks that kind of sounds like a challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it up because ultimately I think it all comes down to this. The reason why we've got this divide, it comes down to this: spiritual maturation. The simplest way to understand how spiritual maturation manifests in life is this: as I mature spiritually, I am able to identify with wider and wider circles of others. I'm better able to relate to others because I just sort of get them, right? I'm able to empathize with them. And indeed, the capacity to identify with others is the condition for us to be able to love others. So the fruit of spiritual maturation, the fruit of growing in Christ, is found in the extent to which one's circle of care and concern has expanded. In other words, the measure of spiritual growth is the extent to which one can identify with and therefore empathize with and therefore love others. Now, here's the thing that's most significant for us today. You see, a while back, they did this study, and the study looked at political conservatives and liberals to see whether or not there was a difference in their circles of care and concern. Now, if you find the study, what you can see is basically it's kind of like it's a circle. It goes out, and in the middle, okay, like in the middle, there's a dot. We're just going to call that I. Okay, that's me, 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 me. That's all I care about. Just me, 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 me. And then it goes out, now, 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 now. Next thing you know, you're concerned about all of creation, all of the universe, right? And so there's a sense of an ever expanding circle of care and concern. Okay, and what they discovered was this. They discovered that conservatives were primarily concerned about their families and their immediate communities, right? And so what we saw is they had a relatively small circle of concern, primary concern. Liberals, on the other hand, had larger circles of concern. They showed that they were concerned about people like immigrants and the marginalized or whoever, basically people who were unrelated to them. And on the graph, what you could do is you could literally see, you could see this map out. Okay, so like you've got the circle in the middle, you've got the bigger circle here, and you see the clusters. And it's like the clusters, like you've got the eye, see my nose right here. Pretend that my nose is like the middle of the thing, and out here is the edge of the I can't do this very easily. There, the edge is the edge of the circle. So here you'd find that the conservative cluster was about here, where the liberal cluster was more like out here. Okay. So there's a visual thing that kind of goes along with this. But on the graph, what you saw is that the liberals literally had a larger circle of care and concern, one that transcended and included the conservative one. Okay. Now, one thing I want to emphasize is when we're talking about concern and care like this, it's not that these are the people that they're concerned about. It's not like liberals are concerned about those other people, but they're not concerned about their family. Think of it as concentric circles like an archery target, okay? This circle, okay, this circle here transcends and includes this circle. This circle transcends and excludes the next one. This one transcends and includes the next one. So it's not care and concern for one group and forgetting about the care and concern for the people who are closer. It's including all of that. And I think that's really important to understand about this kind of thing. Now, here's the thing about this. Excuse me. Um, the expansiveness of our circles of care and concern, that expansiveness is actually reflected in our values, the values that we carry with us. And when I think we see conservative values, what they do tend to do is revolve around things like family and community, which goes along with what we're seeing. And then as portrayed by that graph. And that comes down to things like we might call, I don't know if you recall the old family values, stuff like that from way back in the day. Um, but liberal values tend to reflect those wider concerns that don't negate those prior concerns. For example, they talk about justice issues, wider concerns than family issues. Okay. So, but here's the thing. I don't think that people adopt values based on their political agenda. I believe that people adopt their political agendas ultimately because of their values. So their political agendas reflect their values. Okay. Now, so what have we got so far? Um, let's summarize where we're at so far. So, number one, spiritual growth is measured by the capacity to identify with more and more people in ever widening circles of care and concern. Okay. Two, there's that study that showed that liberals tended to have wider circles of concern than conservatives. Three, the wideness of our circles of concern and care manifests in our values. And then four, our values determine our political and ideological leanings. Now, let's go back to Burgess's quote here. Mainline clergy are decidedly left of center politically. Meanwhile, their membership is politically diverse and, by many estimates, ends up slightly right of center on matters of partisanship and ideology. This should prompt a whole lot of reflection among denominational leaders of the mainline denominations. I'm not sure it will. Why are your seminaries and pulpits primarily attracting liberals? Would a Republican even feel comfortable attending classes and working toward ordination? Okay, so given those things that I've listed, which is really quickly, spiritual growth is measured by a capacity to identify with more and more people. The study showed that liberals tended to have a wider concern of wider circles of care and concern. The wideness of our circles of care and concern manifests in our values, and our values determine our political and ideological leanings. Now, here's the question. What happens when you pay someone and empower them to immerse themselves in the gospel so that they can lead spiritual transformation within their communities? So when we have paid clergy in the mainline and we give them the finances they need to basically engage in their own spiritual formation, okay, that's a very privileged position. Not everybody has that option. Not everybody can do that. They go to work and they got to do their own stuff on the side, right? Their own spiritual growth and development stuff on the side, if they do that at all. So, so what would we expect? What happens when you pay someone to empower them to immerse themselves in the gospel so that they can lead spiritual transformation within their communities? I would expect the leadership to be further along in the spiritual maturation process than those whom they are leading. And that is exactly what I want to argue that we are seeing in Ryan Burge's study. So what we're seeing reflected in that study, where clergy are significantly more to the left than their parishioners, what we're seeing reflected in that study, I want to argue, is what happens when a system tries to position Christians who are more mature than average in leadership positions so they can facilitate spiritual growth and development. After all, I mean, there is that leadership saying that says, you can't take people where you've never been. And remember, the job of clergy is to invite people to participate more fully in the love of God. We're called to love God and love neighbors. All of us are called to love God and love neighbors. And the job of clergy is to empower people to identify with others so that they can empathize with others, so that they can love others. So as clergy are empowering people to love a wider and wider circle of neighbors, what they are really doing is they are inviting them to learn how to love God through their neighbor. So, clergy leaning to the left, it's not a bug in the system. Rather, it's a healthy feature of the system. Okay, so like I said, I was going to try to keep this down to 10 to 15 minutes, and I kept it down to 15 minutes. I'm actually pretty excited because I am terrible at gauging my time, but I am considering I am considering doing a larger article on this. And if this is something that you would be interested in, please let me know. Put it in the chat, shoot me an email or whatever you have to do. Send me a direct message. I guess I have direct messages on the on Substack would be the best way to do it. But if this is something you want me to do an article about, just please let me know, because that kind of feedback helps me to determine what I'm going to write in upcoming letters. Now, there's no guarantee that I would actually use the topics that are suggested in upcoming articles, because there are a lot of different concerns as to what makes the cut and when I can do it and so on and so forth. But there's a pretty darn good chance. Also, if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, I do encourage you to do so. One advantage is that when I do go live, you can get a notification, because it says, do you want me to email all your people when you go live? And I hit the button to go live. So, yep, we emailed everybody. So there's that. Now, I will say that about that, I mentioned this earlier, and not everybody was here, but if you have an iPhone, you can actually schedule things in advance and say, hey, I'm going to be going live in 2 days. Just here's your link, right? I can't do that with an Android phone, apparently. I don't know why they don't have that feature yet. But so what I do is I'll try to send out an email ahead of time to say, hey, I'm going to go live, just as an announcement. There will be no link and everything, but basically it's kind of watch for the email hitting your inbox, because when I do go live, it will send you an email unless I mess that up somehow. So please, if you have not subscribed to my newsletter, I encourage you to do so. Excuse me. And if you are a free subscriber, I encourage you to become a paid subscriber. I mean, things are very tight for me financially right now, and quite frankly, every little bit helps. And when you become a paid subscriber, you're actually making it possible for me to continue to put out content for the free subscribers. Those who find value in what I do, but they just can't really afford to be paid subscribers right now. And so, and every little bit helps. I would encourage you to consider that as an option. And if that's not how you're feel to motivate to support me, like either through free subscriptions or paid subscriptions, then I encourage you to like and share things that I do on Substack Notes, because I try to be relatively active on there as well. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. It looks like someone just joined. I'm so sorry. This is it. I missed it. Hi. Sorry that for those of you who were kind of like popping in now, we're wrapping things up. But there will be a replay that's going to go out. I'm going to get this out as soon as I can. I don't know how long it takes to set all this up, but I'm going to try to get this replay out there as soon as I can. It's going to go out in my email. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can figure out how to see things on here. I don't know how to. Is there a way for me to? I don't think I can actually look at everything that's been said. It doesn't look. Oh, wait. Can I? Oh, wait. I'm scrolling. Bowstringer asks, I'm sorry I missed where the graph is. I'd love to see it. Okay. I don't have that with me right now. There's a study out there. You could probably look it up. You will see, I'll try to find it and put it in the replay email. How does that sound? Otherwise, you can go ahead and search it out. Interestingly enough, I think this is a study that J.D. Vance had referenced when he said that, basically progressives don't care. They care about immigrants more than they care about your families, type of thing. And that's kind of what I was referencing earlier when I wanted to emphasize that it's not about, conservatives are concerned about this group and liberals are concerned about this group to the exclusion of this group. This is about transcending and including like an archery target color scheme. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for what you said, Bo. I appreciate that. Please write on this, and I'd love to feature it if you're open to it. I'll try to get this done. I don't know how soon it's going to be. Right now, I've got a series that I'm working on, and I think I have another series lined up after that. That's going to be about 2 or 3 articles. But yes, I'll see what I can do about that. I can write a note as well. RJB, are you talking about? I do announce when I'm doing these as notes as well. I do say, hey, and I share the when I send out the email, it's one of my Substack articles, and I share that. So like some details and everything is in there, like the title and all that other stuff. I think that's what you're talking about. If not, feel free to let me know what it was you were referring to. Yes. Yes, Vance and his bullshit. Yes, absolutely. It now my question is when he says when he said that, I was wondering, so is he just really ignorant of how the study works, or is he just blatantly misinforming people? I don't know. Honestly, either could be true, in my opinion. Um, okay, so I think that pretty much covers it for me. Any other questions or anything that people want to say before I pop off of here? Um, I'll give you just a couple minutes. I'm going to get a drink of water because I need a drink of water. And is everything coming across? Please, whoever's out there, please let me know. Is this coming across clearly? Because I went to my phone because I wasn't happy with the audio quality of the camera when I used my laptop. Um, so yeah. So if you want to let me know how the quality of this is, that would be really helpful. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you very much for showing up for this. Those of you who are late, I'm sorry that thank you very much. For those of you who were late, uh, sorry, but there will be a replay going out. I hope to get this out relatively soon as I can figure out how to do replays again and send them out. And um, well, everyone, thank you very much again. And until next time, I'm Bo McGuffee with Religious, Reasonable, and Radical Newsletter, part of the Evolving Christian Faith Network project. Until next time, peace.